What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next NBA preview, and today we are talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. So, I talked about the Brooklyn Nets yesterday, 76ers, two of the teams, or I'd say two teams in the NBA that honestly aren't expected to do too much this year, but it's the Eastern Conference, so who knows? Teams can always break through, especially if the Sixers feel like it's time to stop tanking. But anyway, let's get into the first X factor for the Sixers. So, again, tanking's a big thing. That's just kind of too obvious, though. And I'm gonna say finally start utilizing some of their young talent, especially when you're talking about in the front court. You know, you look up and down this lineup, regardless of who you want starting. You know, my projected starting five is going to be different from I think a lot of people's. I think Dario Saric is going to be very important to the team this year. He's not one of my key players just because I don't know if he is going to be starting this year. In my personal opinion, he will be at some point. But again, between Ben Simmons and Jahlil Okafor, Nerlens Noel and Joel Embiid and Nik Stauskas and Timothy Luwawu, and like I said, Saric to some degree, Jerry Grant, there's a lot of young talent to be utilized on this roster. Furkan Korkmaz, even though he's not coming over till I believe next year. God damn, man. I feel like it's finally time for this team to break through, at least to some degree. Second one is figuring out the situation with the bigs. Again, the front court's loaded just with young talent. Between Simmons, Okafor, Noel, and Embiid, they have too much. They do. There's been trade rumors circling around all offseason. I think it is time to pick up someone that will be able to start in the backcourt. Bayless, I feel like, is a very serviceable player, but I don't think he's a starting point guard in the NBA to any degree. And maybe adding some depth at the shooting guard spot. Even though I low-key like their shooting guard depth right now between Nik Stauskas and Gerald Henderson. But either way, I think that's a big thing that the Sixers have on top of this year. So I got two key players. The first one is Ben Simmons. This one's obvious. They finally get that number one overall pick. The guy looked pretty good in Summer League, but again, you pretty much know what you're getting from Simmons. He looked like his jumper could improve, which is the biggest thing for him. And you know what? This is a guy that looks like he can average maybe 15 or 16 and 10. And this guy looks like he could be just an absolute triple-double machine in the NBA. I'll be honest. Like 15, 16, maybe 15 or 16 points a night. Like 8 rebounds, 8 assists, maybe even bump one of those up to 10. I know that's high expectations, but again, you feel like this is a guy that can do it. He's just a stats machine. So, second key player is Nik Stauskas. Hasn't really been anything what people expected him ever since he came out of college. I believe drafted by the Kings in the lottery originally, and you know what? So far in the NBA, his stint just hasn't gone extremely well so far. I still feel like there's a lot of potential left in him, though. Yeah, picked 8th overall in 2014. Again, Grant hasn't had that big of a workload yet. Last year was, I believe the most work he's gotten so far. And an okay season. This guy's supposed to be a good shooter. He was only a 33% shooter from 3-point, and only a 39% shooter from the field. You hope that improves. Overall, his points per game improved. Pretty much everything did improve. So if you're looking at any reason for him to take another step up, at least after a rough season with Sacramento, he actually did something last year. So again, something good to look out for. So the record last season was 10-72, good for last place in the NBA. And again, I hope that they can finally start picking it up this year. Worst case scenario to me is another last place finish in the NBA. I know it's hard to think of a worst case. The Sixers have been a worst case scenario for I feel like any fan of any team in the NBA for the last couple of years. But best case scenario to me is young talent pushes them to the 8th seed. I know that's wishful thinking, but again, this team is crazy talented. If they can somehow put it all together, finally stop that mentality of losing and tanking, I think it actually can be a good situation for them this year. I do think they start to get on the right track this year. I think they bump up maybe 5 wins. 15-67 I think is a good realm to expect them to finish in this year. Like I said, if they can get one more pick in, maybe start filling out that backcourt, I think they'll be ready to go. I think their draft haul of Simmons, Luwawu, and Korkmaz long term will be a very, very good thing for them. And like I said, one more draft. This is going to be a loaded draft class this year, and again, it's something that I think the Sixers could take advantage of for maybe one more year and then be ready to go in 2017, 2018, hopefully. But anyway, that'll pretty much do it. Like I said, you can check out my website. I've finally started to getting to posting the previews ahead of time, but that link will be in the description below. Also, give me a follow on Twitter. Links that will be in the description below. I do the starting five in all my videos. Some of them I actually talk about. Sometimes I don't put them in the actual videos, but they will always be in the description below. What my projected starting five will be for every team for the year. I try to make sure to not forget that in any of my previews. But anyway, tomorrow, or actually probably later today, I will be coming back with the Cleveland Cavaliers and then Indiana Pacers. So finally moving out to some teams that should be very, very, very competitive in the East. But anyway, that's pretty much it. See ya.